Welcome to SEC Sports Roundtable. This is your host, Shane Bailey, back for our SEC previews. Got a full lineup tonight. Tonight's episode is going to be about the Arkansas Razorbacks. So let's get into some introductions, get some housekeeping out of the way, and then start talking some football. If you're joining us on our Google Hangouts from left to right, we've got Blair Smyly joining us tonight. Welcome, Blair.
Shane, it's good to be back. It's been a while.
It's been a while since we've done these on a regular basis, so it's good to be getting in the groove of things. I'm starting to knock some rust off over here. So I think Britton Burton, my next co-host, is definitely got the rust knocked off of him. We've been hot and heavy at these the last few. So thanks for being on again, Britton.
Third time's a charm. I'm ready to go.
And we've got a new guy, first time. And just a little background for those that are new to the program. SEC Sports Roundtable takes this from a fan's perspective. So we all have some sort of allegiance as we go through this. And so it's nice to get a different team's perspective on things. And since we're doing Arkansas tonight, it was great to be able to get somebody that's an Arkansas fan. So join us tonight, Jimmy Penrod. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks, Shane. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. We're gonna test your expertise with lots of silly questions, probably.
Good.
See how well you pass this test. So thanks for being on. So like I said, this is from a fan's perspective. We look at things a little different than some of the other talk shows that somewhat stay impartial, or they're just one particular team. The nice thing about having somebody from Alabama, when you get the Tennessee guys on here, they don't get along so well. The Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and what is LSU's your big one? Is that right?
Well, it's supposed to be. I think it's Missouri now, though.
So the real allegiances are going to stay for a while.
Yeah.
Me, it's Florida. I hate to see Florida and Tennessee. Anything about them, any good news there, it just makes my life bad. So I'm a Kentucky guy. So we all do things from a fan's perspective, and we try to bring that. But we also try to be somewhat smart about the way we do these things and try to get a little research in before we do that. So we're glad we get somebody that is a fan of the actual team we're talking about tonight. Unfortunately, for the first two podcasts, we were going blind. Now, for those that are Alabama fans, it was great because we got to have Alabama fans do an Auburn perspective. So that was a great episode to go back and listen to, especially for those Auburn faithful.
I bet they loved that.
We
were fair, though. We were fair.
I think so. Yeah, I gave them, 4 wins?
And that wasn't even the Alabama guy saying that.
No, we gave them more than that. So go back and listen to that. That was the last one we did. But we're on any way you can get a podcast, RSS feeds, iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Just go out there, type SECSRT, and find the way you want to listen to us. We'd love to have you subscribe to this. We do these on YouTube. We do them via Hangouts, so if you want to watch the video or stream that, you can listen and watch that way as well. We also have a website that we post these to. It's SECSRT, and that's our Twitter as well. So lots of ways to communicate and keep in touch with us. So we'd love to hear from you. Love to know what you think of what we've been doing so far in this year's preview. This is our third year of doing this, so it's not our first rodeo. Like I said, this is our 123rd episode, so we've been at this for a little while now. So we're glad to get into the thick of things. And 3 podcasts are going to come out this week. We normally do weekly, but to get you geared up for football, we're going to break up each team into a weekly episode on its own, or its own episode. And so tonight we've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. A tough couple years. Bobby Petrino likes to ride his motorcycles and leave in a flurry, and left the program in a little bit of a rebuilding mode. And I don't think they're out of the woods yet from that rebuilding. Just what I've seen on the front side of it, and then we'll let Jimmy talk, and he can tell me I'm right on spot on, or just way off in left field. And I'd like to hear this, but. There's a lot of youth there. That's the good news. The bad news is, I think Brett Bielema is trying to bring in a whole other program of football that the SEC, just really has been able to control and dominate as far as what they've been able to do to shut down. So how effective will that be long term? I'm curious to see how that goes in his second year of installing this. Now he does have a good running back tandem back there. I think a sophomore and a junior. 1,000-yard rusher last year and a 900-yard rusher, so they got some yards out of them. It's going to be curious to see. When I was looking through it, not a lot of seniors on the starting lineup, first team, but a lot of guys that had experience because they got thrown to the wolves last year and had to get out there and play. So they've got some experience under their belt. And Jimmy, how close was that quick synopsis?
I think you got it exactly right. Youth is kind of on our side, which is both, like you said, good and bad. We started, 2 true freshmen on the offensive line last year, which is good because that means you're bringing in quality players, and they've got a year of experience to build on. And, we got some new receivers coming in for big help, and obviously some linebackers because we haven't even had a guy back there that can tackle for probably 4 years.
That's hard. That's bad, linebacker.
So they're bringing in as many linebackers as they can and just trying to see who will work out. But I think he did a pretty good job. It'll still be another rough year, but maybe not as bad as last year, hopefully.
So you're thinking better than the 3-9. You got some SEC wins under your belt, possibly.
I think we got a couple possibilities, and it'll definitely look better. I don't see any huge blowouts on our schedule. Hopefully, where we get beat by 40 points again. So even if the record doesn't reflect improvement, I think the actual in-game performance will be better. But we've got Missouri, who's lost some players. You can't really tell what they're going to do with. I mean, Matty Mox played a little bit, but just depends on how well he can adjust. That's at the end of the year, so if we can kind of get things going our way, then that might be one we can get. Of course, Auburn's fresh out of the gate and went to the national championship, but we've got some key players missing with suspension. So we'll just, that could be interesting too. But
all right, Blair, what do you think?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I actually see is, which is not really good for an Arkansas fan, is that in the West, LSU, Alabama's got a quarterback. You don't really know what's going to happen. LSU's loses 9 players again. It's like the never-ending story about players leaving to the NFL. Then you have Mississippi State and Ole Miss that are going to be good. You got Texas A&M that's recruited in the top 5 the last 2 years, even though they lost significant players from last year's team. They're ranked 20th in this preseason poll and 19 in another one. So everybody thinks that they're going to be hovering around that 4th or 5th in the SEC West. The problem with Arkansas is that, I mean, it's the SEC West, and so normally you have Ole Miss and Mississippi State that you can go into the year with saying, hey, I've got a shot at beating these teams, and this year those teams are strong as they've ever been in the last 10 to 15 years probably heading into a season, and then you're always going to have Alabama and LSU. Auburn's going to be tough, and so for them, I think that's what stinks, is that I think they'll be a better football team. But last year, I mean, to say as bad as it was for Arkansas last year, last year was their worst year ever, and they just came off a 4-8 complete disaster the year before. With all of the stuff with John L. Smith and all that kind of stuff. So, it's frustrating, but I think you'll see some things improve. But I saw a stat when I was doing a little bit of a preview that they were outgained 138 yards on average last year by opponents. And so when you take Georgia and Missouri along with the SEC West, it's not a lot of wins there, unfortunately.
Britton, what do you think?
Yeah, to me, it's sort of the Arkansas story the last couple of years is it's as much a testament to the coaching ability of Bobby Petrino as anything, because we know he was never a great recruiter, but that didn't really show up when he was actually the coach there, even though he wasn't bringing in top 15, top 20. Jimmy, you would know better than me, maybe not even top 25 classes. They were still a really good team because he's just such a great offensive coach. And then when all that crazy stuff went down and he's gone, all of a sudden you have this roster of, 3-star athletes that just can't physically match up with most of the elite SEC teams, you're kind of seeing them go through these growing pains. Not to mention the entire philosophical shift from the more deep ball passing game that Petrino had to controlled offense, run the ball, short passing game that Bielema wants to run, play great defense. That's a complete opposite thing from Petrino, and you're just seeing them fight through those difficulties of not having a ton of elite athletes left over from when Petrino was there, and then an entire philosophical shift. So it's not like this is completely unexpected. I know that doesn't make it any less painful for Arkansas fans, but the most interesting thing to me is how long of a leash do Arkansas fans have for Bielema? Do they understand what I just talked about, or are they like, I'm tired of losing after the John L. Smith year and last year with Bielema? Is it kind of win now? Does he have one more year after this? That to me is probably the most interesting thing, because I think we all know they could sneak in and win an SEC game or two, but this is most likely not a bowl team. So to me, it's more about how patient can Arkansas fans be, and Jimmy's probably the best person to answer that.
Jimmy?
That's a good question. We're not really known for our patience. I actually thought about getting on here and pretending, taking on a persona of like an Arkansas drive-in radio show caller, and just going crazy, but decided to kind of keep it civil here. But
they have those in Arkansas too.
Do what?
They have those in Arkansas too.
Yeah, well, people that drive through Arkansas pretend like we're the worst, but I lived in Tennessee for a while. They're pretty bad too. So.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Wherever you are that you're not the fan of is the worst. I promise you that.
Yeah. But no, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the system change is a big part of it. Had a bunch of finesse players basically, and now we're trying to play smash mouth ball in the SEC West, where Alabama's perfected it, LSU's perfected it, and then you've got the spread teams like Ole Miss and Mississippi State and A&M. So trying to line up with, like Britton said, some people that are maybe inferior, especially in the trenches, is going to make it difficult. But that's one of the areas where I think we've recruited the best. Probably is the O-line. We got Sam Pittman, then we took from Tennessee, who some think is maybe the best O-line coach in the country. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Britton, but Alabama tried to get him before last season, maybe, or before this season. I can't remember, but anyway, he's recruited. I think he signed 4 4-star linemen since he's been here, counting this class, of course, if they stick. But I think that'll go a long way. We got to build up that line first of all. And then it goes, to quarterback play. That
was my question, because if you're going to play that smash mouth, line 'em up, control offense, what kind of line are you going to have to give the protection and provide the holes in an SEC defense to be able to be effective week after week? And that was one of the questions I was having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have some road graders for sure, and going from a line that's predominantly pass protection to what Bielema is looking for is going to be a big shift. But like I said, I think they're doing a good job getting those people in there. Got a 4-star from Missouri, Brian Wallace, who's hopefully not going to have to play this year because he'll be a true freshman, but just another good recruit. Of course, like I said, started 2 true freshmen last year. So we're bringing in the talent, and that's all you can do. It's Arkansas fans kind of go back and forth, like as far as what system they prefer, like a Petrino pass system. Because we won't, sadly, be able to recruit at the level of an Alabama or an LSU and have to kind of out-scheme them. And then, a guy like Bielema comes in where we're almost trying to do the exact same thing with not necessarily worse players, but less recruited players, I guess you could say.
Yeah, to me that's the biggest question, because in the Big Ten, Wisconsin could have better players from a recruiting standpoint than just about every team except for Ohio State and Michigan, maybe Penn State, so they could kind of run that simple, grinded out, power over you system. Is there concern amongst the Arkansas fans that you're kind of doing the same thing that an Alabama and an LSU and a Florida is doing, yet they're probably going to have a little bit better recruiting?
Yeah, well, that makes me think of 2 things. You mentioned Wisconsin's recruiting. They didn't really recruit too well there either. I think they probably averaged upper 30s as far as a recruiting rank, which, of course, it's the Big Ten, so you don't have to do too good to be better than the rest of your conference.
Where you take the top 12, or at least 12 off the top of the top 30 right there for SEC teams.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now
it's a different game now.
You got a top 20 in the rest of the country.
I'm just saying, I trust, I think Bielema, as far as the run game, he's got a good eye for evaluation, at least. It seems like he kind of, stacks his O-line and then goes and gets 3 or 4 good running backs, and then the rest can just kind of sort itself out. As far as what level of success it can have, you just go back a few years before Petrino to Houston Nutt. He was a run-first coach and had some moderate success, a couple 10-win season, couple SEC championship games. But then, of course, he can't, win a bowl game, so we didn't win anything that mattered. But he had some good rush offenses, and last year even we could run the ball, and everybody knew that's what we were going to do because our quarterback was shaky, to say the least, and injured at that. So
let me ask you about him. I mean, he was a sophomore last year. Brandon Allen, from all indications, he's still going to be your quarterback this year?
Yep, that's the word.
And, I mean, he was less than 50% when you look at everybody they played. He was even lower than that when you looked at SEC play. Mm-hmm. What kind of improvement do you guys expect to see out of him going forward this year? Is there things been put in place to help with that completion percentage? Because you can't win games when you're throwing as many INTs and incompletions as he did last year. I think he had almost as many interceptions as touchdowns.
Yeah, he did. I think he had
13 to 10 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, 15 to 13 maybe, or
13 to 10, yeah.
So I mean, he's the clear starter. There's nobody that's close to him, is what they say. And just kind of a testament to the quarterbacks that we have on campus. We have A.J. Derby, who, if you remember, played a little bit last year when Allen was hurt, and he is actually a walk-on. He transferred walk-on from Iowa, where they tried to change him to a linebacker, and now he's actually working at tight end for us, but he's still the second-string quarterback, so that's never good, I guess.
That's scary. Wow.
But as far as Brandon Allen, I think the big thing last year, he got hurt early on in the season when it was a shoulder injury. So what they kept saying, the coaches, was that he was, never fully healthy. This was all after the fact, obviously, but he was never fully healthy, so that contributed to his poor play. So hopefully, a healthy Brandon Allen will be, at least 55% completion, 60%, which with this offense, the main thing they're trying to do is get a game manager. They're not looking for somebody that's like Nick Marshall that's going to make some plays, but just somebody that can move the chains when they need to.
Now, Britton, you know all about game managers, don't you?
Yeah, that's what we thrive on. And that's what Bielema, I mean, if you look at the Wisconsin quarterbacks, like they've never had a scary quarterback, but they've been able to rely on mashing you with that run game, and I just don't know with the offensive line the way it is right now. He's got to have time to recruit and get experience in his O-line to be at that point. So it's just a really scary place to be because you don't really trust your quarterback, which Wisconsin was that way a lot with Bielema, but they could at least mash you with the run game and then hit you with the play action. And Arkansas can kind of do that, but just not consistently enough right now.
Yeah, and it'll help. I think we've got a tight end. He'll be a true sophomore this year, Hunter Henry.
That's your quarterback? Your backup quarterback?
No, but they say he's turning heads at tight end, so hopefully he'll help us out there. But we got Hunter Henry. He's a good, reliable receiver, and I think could be a future All-SEC at tight end. He's got that kind of talent. So I think that'll help as he just comes into his second year, and then we've got 2 upperclassmen. One's a JUCO that we're bringing in and going to look at it at center because we've got an open starting position there. And then a 5th-year transfer from UNLV, Cameron Jefferson, who's I believe a 3-year starter. Now, granted, it's at UNLV, but that's better than a true freshman in my opinion.
I know you're a starter, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll help out and solidify that line at the second guard position and the center position that we're looking for to go with our young talent that we have already.
So are they going to put in that halfback throwback that the Tennessee Titans made so popular against the Buffalo Bills? Better known as the Music City Miracle. I mean, you've got a tight end with an arm. You need to make sure that plays in your repertoire.
Yeah, we need something for sure.
Yeah, the unexpected tight end pass play could be a huge weapon in the arsenal this year, I guess, if your backup quarterback is your tight end.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the eligibility works there with the jersey numbers and stuff. I'd have to check the rule books.
As long as it's a backwards pass, I think he's an eligible. All right, that's the key to the Music City Miracle. It was a backwards pass.
Yeah, that's true.
So Jimmy, what about defensively? The other thing, I mean, when we think of Bielema's Wisconsin teams, we think of that power running game and being able to control the clock and grind things out. But the overlooked part is probably that they had really, really good defenses. But they also maybe weren't playing as many of the new kind of new age offenses that are kind of beginning to proliferate in the SEC. So where are you now, and where do you think their ability to do that is in the future?
Well, that's a good question, and that's kind of going to be the key to how quickly we can turn it around, is how we can improve that defense, because Petrino, did not care about defense.
He'll outscore you. He doesn't care about stopping you.
We'd sign 25 guys in a recruiting class, and 7 of them would be on the defensive side. So that's a good question. Like, we bring in 3 linebackers, and they think that all of them could contribute if needed be, obviously in backup positions. We brought in a JUCO linebacker that's 240 pounds, so we're trying to get more size in there is what they're trying to do, speed and size. Where Petrino was kind of big on recruiting a safety and then moving him down to linebacker. So we were a little light in the britches. So they're trying to get bigger in the second level. We lost Eric Bent at safety, who was 3-year starter at least. Played his freshman year as well, but it was at corner. But in his last 2 years, he didn't even really. I don't think we're going to miss him. He didn't make too many plays. And we've got a young guy that can come in. He'll be a junior. That's played a little bit in the backup role, and he seems to be decent. The biggest hit we took was on the D line, where we lost Chris Smith, who was, I believe, second team All SEC last year, maybe. At defensive end, he went on and lost our two defensive tackles as well. Now we do bring in a 4-star recruited defensive tackle who physically is ready to come in, so hopefully his skill level and his mental capacity is there as well.
Will Flowers be able to help fill in some of that gap as well?
Flowers, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, he's going to have to carry it. I mean, he's our best player for sure on defense. And we were lucky, he considered leaving for the draft. Probably a good decision that he didn't, because I think he was going to be, later, 4th, 5th, 6th round or whatever. But he's definitely going to have to carry the team. And the biggest thing is we're going to have to create turnovers. That's what we didn't do last year. And with this kind of offense, it's we take care of the ball, but we have to take the ball from the other team. That's the only way we're going to score a ton of points. So that'll be the key.
Now, Britton asked a good question, and I didn't hear a good answer from you, so I'm going to put you back on the spot and re-ask that. What kind of hot seat is Bielema going to be on if they have another season that people outside of Arkansas are going to think they're going to have, where they're going to struggle? Is he going to be on the hot seat year 3, or are they going to give him another year because of the total rebuild he had to do, and what John L. Smith left him with Petrino the year before?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. I'll do you one better, though. I think that athletic director will be on a hotter seat than he will as far as the message board fans go. They're already screaming for his head just for firing Petrino.
Really? So people, sorry not to interrupt, but people still don't wish that Petrino hadn't been let go?
No, it's like a scorned, like an old ex-girlfriend or something. They just can't let it go. They're still chasing him.
Louisville chased him back, so I mean they won that They won that battle, the old girlfriend. So
yeah.
There's hope for you yet.
Yeah, but as far as Bielema goes, I think he'll get 4 years at least from the majority of the fan base. There's always those crazies out there that wanted him gone after last year, but they understand the job he's got in front of him, and then his track record at Wisconsin helps build some credibility for him, so the fans know that he at least has the ability to to develop people and build a team and do the program the right way. That's another thing is, this is always kind of a moral victory thing, but off the field grades are better than they have been and things like that. And, to the educated fan, that sort of stuff matters because you don't want to get hit with APR or have your best player, get arrested or whatever. So I think he'll get at least 4 years before people start calling for his head, and I think in year 4 we'll see some definite improvement, so it won't even be an issue. It's just a question of how much.
Now on to a more serious question. Is his wife still texting like she has been? Or Twittering?
Tweeting.
Going to Twitter with the pictures.
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Is Bielema's wife still going to Twitter with all the pictures?
Yeah, she tweets some every now and then. She's usually not in a bikini like she was early on.
That's unfortunate.
It was, yeah. I need more of those.
Yeah.
I actually followed a couple Arkansas people because of that. There was one in particular.
Yeah, she's usually promoting her new throw in the A, she calls it, where if you've seen it with the fingers that some of the players do on the field. She's trying to get that.
She'll have a lot more hits.
Yeah.
You can let her know that we think that would get some more hits for her.
Bielema may not win a ton of games this year, but he definitely won the wife contest in the SEC so far.
Now that Lane Kiffin's not a head coach?
Yeah, coordinator-wise, don't count.
And was it the A&M's Kingsbury's wife? When he was
I've never seen his wife.
Oh.
I know he gets rave reviews from all the ladies.
Yeah, Kingsbury. I believe Kingsbury's single. He's out there playing the field.
Oh, is he single? I thought he was married. Maybe it was a girlfriend.
If he is, he doesn't act like it.
You probably saw a picture of him with Johnny Manziel and a couple of club bunnies somewhere. But it wasn't his wife.
In matching Scooby suits.
Yeah.
Rolling $20 bills.
Yeah.
Well, now Larry Fedora's in on the action too. If you've seen the recent pictures.
Yeah, I saw that with his six-pack abs, just rocking life as a football coach.
Well, let's kind of quick. Blair texted me. His internet crashed, so maybe we will get him back. Maybe we won't. But let's kind of look through this schedule as you get to start your season. I think you alluded to this. I think you've got a cupcake game to get things started.
Yep. Yeah, we play. Start at Auburn too, so it's not even in a home game. But.
Headed to the Plains to play the runner-up in the BCS National Championship game, winner of the SEC Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, that's correct. But the Nick Marshall-less Auburn Tigers. So that's one stroke of luck in our favor.
But Nick Marshall-less for how long? He just said he wouldn't start, right? So it might be one drive.
Well, that's true, I guess. You can't trust Gus Malzahn.
The first play, right?
Yeah.
He didn't start the play. He didn't start a game.
So I guess my question for this game is, we talked about it in depth on this podcast, that everyone would rather play Auburn early in the year because Gus gets that offense rolling. That may not apply as much this year because they have so much coming back. They may be rolling right out of the gate. But first game of the year, Bielema, Arkansas, everybody has all season to plan for this. They're getting prepped. Neither team really knows completely what they have yet, even though Auburn feels really good about who they have coming back. I mean, does Arkansas feel like there's any chance they can kind of come out and shock the world here just because it's that season opener and sort of anything can happen?
Well, you never know. Obviously, realistically, I don't think that we do. I think it will be competitive at least. I think the line in Vegas is like they're a 21-point favorite. I don't think necessarily it'll be that much. But as far as a win goes, we'd have to get pretty lucky with some turnovers and us not have any. And then Nick Marshall sit out the whole game. The question is, I'm not so much a conspiracy theorist, but a big believer in flukes. And I don't know how much of Auburn's season last year was just one of those Cinderella seasons where it was a stroke of luck, and maybe they're really like an 8-4 team, or 9-3, or if they really are like a 13-0 team again.
Sounds like he listened to our Auburn preview, Shane.
So it just depends on what kind of state we catch them in. I mean, they could be hungry because they didn't win the whole thing last year, or they could be complacent because they think they're top dog. You never know. And if Nick Marshall doesn't play and Trey Mason's gone, then that's two key positions in that offense, especially where you don't necessarily want to trust a new guy with just a few weeks to prepare.
Well, it looks like I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, but no, I don't think we'll win. Long story short, but it'll be closer.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think I couldn't pick Arkansas in this game, but you just never know with these season openers, and some crazy things could happen. Arkansas, I'm sure is planning some kind of trick play or something that's going to come up at some point, and if it's successful, maybe it's a 10-point game, something like that. I think that we'll probably play better than the 21-point spread, but it's really difficult for me to pick against Auburn, especially with it being in Auburn.
Right. But to that point, Auburn is one place we have played well in the last several years in their team. I believe over the last 10, we're probably tied in the series or ahead in the series, and they've definitely had better teams over those 10 years and more talent. So for whatever reason or another, they're a team we usually play well. So we'll just have to kind of see how it goes.
Then after that, you get to go home and have Nicholas State. I'm looking at. I don't even know where they are.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they know where they are, but that'll be good coming off an SEC game to open the season. Having Nicholas State to kind of heal our bumps and bruises, and also our emotional scarring that we may have.
So you're saying it's going to be a beatdown in Auburn?
We'll see.
Then your third game, you get to go to Texas Tech. They're forecasted to be finished on the bottom half of the Big 12, but we were just talking about Kingsbury just a few minutes ago for other reasons. But he puts an explosive offense together, just like Auburn does. So what do you think your chances are against those guys?
To be honest, that's one I'm not super sure about because I didn't really watch a ton of Texas Tech last year. I can't say. I know they started out the year pretty hot and then ended up kind of on a downward spiral. So it seems like he's still trying to get his program together there too. So it's kind of like two coaches still trying to put their flavor on their schools and their teams. It is at their place, but I don't necessarily respect the Big 12 too much. So I feel like we could pull that out, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if we didn't win either.
Britton, what do you think on that one?
Yeah, I've got that one squarely in toss-upville. I cannot even pretend to know enough about Texas Tech to say a whole lot one way or the other. I know they do have that quarterback coming back who I believe was a true freshman last year and wound up having a really good season. And it's going to be that really awesome contrast of styles that's one of the great things about college football, where you can watch a team that runs 4 wide all game, hurry up against 2 tight ends and a fullback and bleed the play clock down. Traditional football. So that's going to be one of those really fun games, even though it's maybe 2 teams who won't ever even sniff the top 25. I can't even make a pick. I'm just calling it a toss-up. Hopefully Arkansas wins. I'll make a pick. Arkansas wins because I'm an SEC homer. How about that?
Fair enough. Good enough reason right there. Now you brought up a question that I have. Now, given the fact that you're going to be a control type offense, what chances do you have to come back against a team that you might be somewhat evenly balanced against as far as position by position, but you find yourself down because they run that hurry-up, fast-paced offense? You find yourself down by 2.5, 3 scores, 3 touchdowns going into the third quarter. What chances do you guys have to be able to play that type of comeback ball when you are so run-oriented?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like I said earlier, I believe that it comes down to the turnover differential, where last year I want to say we were near the bottom in the NCAA, maybe the 115th or so. So that's the big difference is we'll have to be able to create turnovers because, like I said, run the ball and grinding it out 3 yards in a cloud of dust, you theoretically take care of the ball yourself. So the only way that you can gain advantages, especially against a hurry-up offense or a spread offense, is to create turnovers. So that'll be the big difference. But generally speaking, it does kind of flip-flop back and forth, where you'll be, plus 17 one year in turnovers, and then even or negative in turnover differential the next season. So hopefully it'll flip back the other way for us. And against a team like Texas Tech, get a couple picks since they throw it so much, or cause a fumble or something on a sack, and build some momentum from there. And that's how you'd have to come back with this offense. Now, as far as what we can do ourselves, our offense, theoretically, we're supposed to be able to pass when we need to because we run so much, and it keeps the defense kind of off balance. So, again, that goes back to how much improvement Brandon Allen has and our new receiving core as well.
Shane, it could be, we talked a lot about how Missouri was like plus 16 and definitely first in the SEC, and I think top 5 in the nation in turnover margin. And that's one of those things that can just completely, like Jimmy just said, completely flip-flop from year to year. And a lot of times it has more to do with luck than maybe how well your team plays. Now, certainly you can do things to influence turnovers, but a lot of times it's luck. I guess that's the one wild card. I still don't see a way Arkansas gets to 6 wins and makes it to a bowl, but maybe that's sort of the one wild card. They had such a rough year last year. I believe I just read -9 in turnover margin, and maybe that's something that flip-flops for them this year. And Jimmy's right. You turn it over against a ball-controlled team like this, assuming that they're able to kind of pound you. They get that O-line worked out. We know they have 2 solid backs. Maybe if they're plus 10, they somehow do beat a few teams that you're not expecting to get to 6 wins. I think that's probably the best case scenario, but we're here to make Arkansas fans happy, right? So let's talk about best case.
If you look at it, that is a great way to have to address and win these type of unwinnable games when you're up against an offense that does spread the field, goes 4 wide, lots of action, hurry up, lots of plays, is controlling the tempo, controlling the time, and making turnovers. And it's funny that's becoming our theme, and through this preview from over the last couple of podcasts, is that turnover margin ratio has come into play on all 3 of these podcasts so far. And that sometimes it's just going to come down to luck. And Arkansas was on the receiving end of bad luck last year, so do they have that again? That's an interesting take, and I appreciate you coming at us with that one, Jimmy. Now, I'm gonna say Arkansas as well, just because I want to be a homer, and I don't have a lot of ill will towards Arkansas, so I can give you a win against Texas Tech. I'm going to give you the win against Northern Illinois. Is that right? Is that the next game?
Yep, that's it. Hopefully, if we don't win that one, then we might as well just pack it up.
Jordan Lynch is gone, which is the only player anyone can name from Northern Illinois ever, so that's got to be a good thing for Arkansas.
Yeah, keyword is ever there.
So the good news is we've got you at 3-1, getting ready to head into the heart of your SEC play here. Got a little stretch going. You get to go to Jerry's house to play Texas A&M for this next game. What do you think your chances are there? I'm going to give you a loss. I don't need to go into detail there, but you're going to lose. Sorry.
Hey, no offense. But that's another one. Obviously, they have more talent on the field, but again, you're replacing an all-world quarterback. You got a new guy coming in now. He's highly touted, but that doesn't necessarily always mean anything. So hopefully you get lucky, cause a few turnovers, catch a team fairly early in the season. Where they're installing some new players, and just catch them on a good day for you. But realistically, it'll probably be a loss, but I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be a competitive game for sure. We actually played them pretty competitively last year for 3 quarters, and then just ended up, Brandon Allen would throw an interception like he tends to do in the 4th quarter, and they just kind of opened it up from there. So it just depends on, I think that one's kind of a battle of the quarterbacks. I'll say that. Like, if Brandon Allen has made significant improvement, and who is it? Kyler Murray, is that who's supposed to be their starter? If he's not what he is supposed to be, he's not ready mentally, then maybe it could be interesting. But realistically, it's probably a loss. 10 points or so, I'd say.
Yeah, I think this is one of the ones, along with I think you mentioned Missouri earlier as a potential one that maybe Arkansas could kind of sneak in. I really think Texas A&M is going to backslide. I still wouldn't pick Arkansas here, but I just really think Texas A&M is going to experience life after Johnny Manziel. Their defense was atrocious last year. They could not stop the run at all against anyone, and obviously we know that's what Arkansas wants to come out and do. So this is one of those that we kind of just talked about. If they can win the turnover battle, I think they could make some noise and at least make it a really interesting game. I'd still pick Texas A&M, but I think this is one of the maybe two on their SEC schedule that's sort of a watch-out game.
That's a fair assessment. I'm still going to go with A&M, though. Even with the backslide and the Manziel, that defense at A&M towards the end of the year started to show some improvements that you started to see, and you get most of those guys back. They did lose Matthews. Yeah,
Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do have some losses there, but you're gonna get most of those guys back on the defense. I expect to have A&M to have a pretty sound defense, and we'll get to them later. But next up, you're gonna go from A&M to. I was looking to see if it was home or away. You get Alabama at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it matters where you get to play Alabama. Britton, I'll let you start that one.
Yeah, sorry, Jimmy. I don't think it's going to end well for you. I don't really know how much else I need to say. Unless Alabama just has terrible quarterback problems, which is a possibility, because we don't really know what they have. I just don't see how this ends well for Arkansas.
I think it's a home game, so it's a definite win for us.
I like it. I like the mocks.
Everybody's going to have one good upset a year. Not
everybody.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. We didn't even, play Alabama too close when Petrino was here, so haven't had too good luck with them since Saban's been there. But maybe something will happen to Saban, and they'll have to play without him for a couple weeks or something.
I will say the way that Bielema wants to build the team is typically, in the mold of an LSU, the kind of team that gives Alabama trouble because they tend to go mano-a-mano and not try to just trick them and do some of the other things. But Arkansas is just not there yet.
Right.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself because I knew Alabama was going to win this game and was looking ahead of the schedule. This is going to if some of this stuff that we've talked about tonight shapes up, this is going to be this schedule ends pretty excitingly for Arkansas. But you get Georgia next. That's a Little Rock game. That's not. That's I guess that's officially a home game, but it's not in your home stadium. So.
Right.
You guys do one of those a year, right?
Yeah, I used to have two, but now we have just one.
Did that change when you did the Arlington game?
Do what now?
Did that change when you did the Arlington game?
It changed with kind of when we did that because we ended up having 3 off-campus games, in some seasons. So for recruiting purposes, they dropped one of the Little Rock games and moved it to Fayetteville. The LSU game actually is usually who was there when we played them at home.
So what kind of chance do you give yourselves against Georgia?
Oh, I didn't know I had to answer. This would be a loss, but I don't know.
At least you're honest, yeah.
Yeah.
We might have you back. You're honest.
Murray, so who knows? Maybe they'll all be in jail by then.
Now they're usually over the whole robbing and pillaging and plundering and suspension thing by this point in the season. You got to catch them early, like Spurrier said.
Exactly what I was going to say. You're not catching them early like Spurrier does. But UAB, that's a game you guys could win.
Yeah, I should hope so. I think that's a win. I think realistically we could win all 4 of our out-of-conference games, and that's the only reason that I think maybe we have an outside shot at a bowl game is because I think we've got 4 good chances at a win there. Now Texas Tech, like we said, is kind of borderline, but Nicholls State, UAB, and Northern Illinois, there's no reason we shouldn't win those 3. So you get 4 there, and then steal a couple others, and maybe get in at 6-6 or something. But
yeah, that's where I'm looking at here. You're stealing my thunder of my schedule, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We've talked about Mississippi State a little bit, and I'd like to get Blair on here, but we lost him to see what he thinks. But that's going to be. I don't think they're going to compete for the West title, but as far as an improved team, your next two matchups, both you got LSU sandwiched in between it, but both Mississippi teams are going to give you guys some problems. I think it's going to be tough for you guys to win either one of those two teams.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's I think those are kind of, especially as far as the conference games go, are kind of toss-ups because it seems like every year Mississippi State is ready to take a leap forward, and this is going to be the year, and it never really happens. And now people are touting Dak Prescott, and I just can't respect a guy with that name.
I wish Blair was still on.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So it could be. I mean, Mississippi State's a good team, but I've never really thought of them as more than an average SEC team at best. So, Dan Mullen's doing some good things down there, but, it just depends on if this is actually the year where they take a step forward and become a 10-win team, or if they're still, 7-5, 8-4. And that means they got to lose to 4 people, so maybe we'll be one of those 4.
They got their monkey off their back last year. You've had their number for a number of years, have you not?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they got us last year and a few other times, but for the most part, we do pretty well down in Mississippi in general.
Yeah. Britton, what do you think? You're high on Mississippi State.
I am definitely on the Mississippi State bandwagon. I can't wait to do the preview and be on with Blair. I feel like he's going to like me a lot, but I think that they have the kind of defense that, especially where Arkansas is right now from a talent standpoint, is just going to give them fits because they can absolutely shut down the run game, especially a more traditional run game. The front seven they have coming back for the most part, other than 1 or 2 guys, and the guys that are stepping in were better than the guys that are leaving, and guys like Chris Jones that were just all-world true freshmen last year who now have a season under their belts. And I am totally buying Dak Prescott. I think he may be the best quarterback in the league by the end of the season if he stays healthy. So I do not think Arkansas really – I won't say they don't have a chance because it is still Mississippi State we're talking about, but I don't think they can win this game.
Wow. I smell a bet there.
You smell a what?
I smell a bet.
You need to be betting with Blair, not with me. We can bet on the Bama game.
Nah, I might as well just hand you something.
Speaking of handing, I think LSU is going to hand you the next loss as well.
Yeah, we surprised them last year and ended up losing. I think the final was 31-27. They outscored us in the fourth quarter 10-0. But that's one of those, for whatever reason, whether it's because we battle for the boot or they're, our supposed rival, even though it's kind of one-sided. We usually play them pretty close, except for a few years here and there. But it just kind of depends if we get a couple breaks and go back to turnovers. I don't think we'll beat them, but I look for another exciting game there at least, where it's within 10 points or so, and it's competitive going into the fourth.
And what about?
Yeah,
go on.
Sorry. Arkansas always plays LSU tough, and I don't, like you said, it's kind of that rivalry game. Maybe that's what it is. Just weird things happen in those kinds of games, and I really think LSU is going to take a step back. So I still, again, I feel like I'm kind of a broken record here. I can't outright pick Arkansas in this one or in most of the other ones we've talked about, but there's another one that maybe has some scare factor just because, I don't know, late in the season LSU should have some things figured out offensively that we aren't really sure what they're going to do right now. But I just feel like LSU has lost so much that there's the potential, at least, for this to get a little bit scary for Tiger fans.
Yeah, in addition, how many years can we say that LSU's offense is really kind of what carried them? Last year their offense was pretty scary with the rushing attack and Mettenberger being able to make some plays. But other than that, you think about guys like Jordan Jefferson and whatever. Since Les Miles has been there, if you catch them on a bad day, they're not going to be the kind, unless they have some sort of trick up the Mad Hatter's sleeve. They're not the kind of team that is necessarily going to dominate you offensively, at least in my opinion. They do it with their defense and creating turnovers and things like that. So I don't see a win on our schedule, but I think it'll be, another close game. And I've got to think, last year was the first year we had gone winless in conference, and that surely won't happen again. So you got to pick one upset. So I'm going to pick, either between them or Auburn, as far as who we upset.
Pick Auburn. Pick Auburn.
I'll have to think about it.
So Ole Miss, Britton.
Yeah, I don't really have a reason to pick Arkansas, and unlike LSU, I think they've got enough coming back where as long as they don't have devastating injuries, they should be in pretty good shape here, have the kind of offense that's going to give an Arkansas defense some troubles. So I'm going Ole Miss pretty much hands down here.
Yeah, I think they'll. Sorry, were you going to say something?
I was just going to echo that. So if you can give me a different point of view.
No, I think they'll win as well. But it's also, it's kind of like I said with Mississippi State. I see them as kind of like an 8-5 team. 8-4, maybe 9-3. It's tough to say. I don't really know what I think about them because, they got Laquan Treadwell and obviously Camvici, some high-name players, but they've just never really done it before outside of a couple of I think one fluke year with Houston Nutt where they won double-digit games, and then Eli Manning. They just never really seem to kind of go to that next level. So it's always somebody I feel like we can play competitively. Again, it just depends on how much quarterback improvement we have this year. That's going to be the key, and it's kind of a dead horse. But if Brandon Allen can be the player they think that he can be, and that he is in spring, and that the coaches say he is, then I think that we could be a bowl team. And that means we got to be somebody like an Ole Miss or Mississippi State or somebody like that.
Yeah, with your math and your predictions, there's a chance for you guys to be going into this last game at Missouri needing a win to be bowl eligible. You could be 5-6 going into Missouri and have a shot to win one. And depending on what Missouri we see, I mean, this could go your way. I think we both picked Britton when we did Missouri's preview. We both picked Missouri on this one. But if you look at one that they could steal, depending on how the season shakes out for Missouri, this could give something Arkansas could play for. They have a shot.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'll let you finish up real quick. I like to look at these different team previews as totally siloed things that have no relation to each other whatsoever. So even though I picked Missouri to win this game in the Missouri preview, I'm calling the upset for the Hogs. This is your upset, unexpected win. I think Missouri kind of regresses to the mean this year. They're not a 4-8 team like they were 2 years ago, but they're also not a 12-win team or 11-win team, whatever they were last year. I think they're on an average year, an 8-7 win team, and this is your win. This is how Arkansas does it. Don't know that it makes you bowl eligible because I think you probably don't win some of those other games, but this is the one, and it's the new rivalry game. You're gonna put a stake in the ground and say, "Welcome to the SEC, Missouri."
Yeah, woo pig, baby. No, I mean Missouri, I think, is your classic fluke. I don't know what happened last year. Britton touched on it with the turnovers. They were, top 5, top 10 in the country in turnover differential. But if you look at their defense, they were actually in the bottom of the SEC in yards allowed. So it was really just a matter of call it what you want, being opportunistic or being lucky, whatever. That's bound to level out this year. And I think that definitely takes a couple wins off their schedule. And, we go to Mizzou, but maybe it's my rose-colored glasses or me being an SEC fan, I still don't consider Mizzou a part of the family and can't really take them seriously. So, plus I live in Kansas City now, so hopefully for my sake, we'll pull that one out. And I think that I'm going to call that one a win for sure. I don't see us losing that with them having a new quarterback, working in a new system, and losing DGB and some of their defensive stars and things like that. I think their defense is going to go back to being kind of that Big 12 defense that gives up 40 points a game. So
Jimmy's got them going bowling.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I didn't think I did coming into this.
You talked yourself into it.
Yeah.
It's funny how we can do that on this podcast. Yeah. That won't be the first time that's happened, so So you're in good company there, Jimmy. I want to thank you guys for being on. I think this was a good podcast. I know I learned some stuff about Arkansas. Some things I thought were true might be true, but there's still a lot of things to be looking forward to if you are an Arkansas fan, to see the product that's being put on the field. We always end these, Jimmy, with any last words, and it can be football related or anything else. Is there anything else you want to add before we close up shop for the night?
Just want to say, enjoyed the opportunity, a lot of fun. Looking forward to the season. I think it's 26 days away now. So everybody's got their official countdown going. And anyway, I'm a high school teacher. Go back to work on Tuesday, so it's been nice kind of lounging around. But now, I guess I got to get back to work, and that's the only thing I got to look forward to is 26 days from now. So.
Well, we were glad you were able to squeeze an hour or so in to talk with us and talk some Arkansas football. Definitely get you back in the rotation and have you back on again if you're up for it, Jimmy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, good deal. Appreciate it, Shane.
Britton, what about you?
I don't root for Arkansas, but I'm rooting for Brett Bielema's wife. Woo!
I get you. You'll do the pig suey for that one.
Yeah.
So maybe that needs to be your next tweet, Britton. I'll pig suey if I see another picture of in a bikini.
Yeah.
Coming from an Alabama fan.
You need to get a fake Nick Saban's account to tweet that out.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be great. All right, guys. That's going to put another episode in the books. I was going to try to talk with Blair. I think up deck tomorrow is going to be Mississippi State. So we will get that one confirmed shortly, and hopefully we will know. But Blair ran into some major technical difficulties and wasn't able to get back on here. I know Nick was supposed to join us tonight, and he ran into some as well. So the cable companies don't like us doing podcasts and are doing something to our internet, I guess. I don't know what it is.
SEC Network's trying to squeeze us out.
That's what it is. August 14th is around the corner, so they know that we've been doing this too long. So, guys, we appreciate you coming in, listening, watching, following along. Remember, we're on Twitter, Facebook. SECSRT is the 6 digits or 6 letters you need to go looking for. Follow, like, do it, whatever you want to do there. Subscribe, whatever that website or way you access it lets you get this content every time we put it out there. Do that so you're always going to get up to date with the stuff we've got to say. And with that, we are going to call this podcast done.